What's up, it's Chase Young.
This is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You're listening to the Washington Football Talk Podcast.
It is Fan Appreciation Day, so if you hear the appreciating of fans in the background, we apologize. This is the Washington Football Talk Podcast. We think they're going to end soon, but they just keep going because they love the fans. Let's dive in. What up, everybody? It's the Washington Football Talk Podcast. My name's JP Finley. His name's Mitch Tischler. His name's Pete Haley. We're brought to you by Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. We ride with them. Want you to do the exact same thing. Check them out online, oarsmanva.com. And I don't want to talk about it. You don't want to hear about it. But the headline from Fan Appreciation Day is Brandon Sheriff's on the COVID protocol. I don't know if he's got it. I don't know if it's contact tracing. We're not allowed to ask. Frankly, I don't care. This story's not going to go away. Ron Rivera seemed tired. When he was at the podium answering those questions, he seemed tired. Now, he also had to do some fan stuff for Fan Appreciation Day. He had to do NFL Network, and he might have just been zonked by the time he got to us. But I think he's just over the COVID stuff. It did sound like maybe more players are getting vaccinated, and he said the team has set up some vaccination appointments for guys tomorrow. But the real life aspect of this is starting to come to fruition. Brandon Sheriff goes out to stretch, and then we basically see him get pulled off the field, and you can't speculate and report that it's COVID, but everybody kind of knew it was COVID. So we find out officially after practice. Then what happens is you get Eric Flowers goes in at left guard, and Wes Schweitzer, however, moves to right guard. Listen, this isn't about public health or any of that. I'm talking about football. That's worse for the team. Okay? And Ron said how much more difficult that makes things. Michael Phillips has joined us, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Thank you, Philly. Let's all just do our quick COVID bit and then get the hell onto football. Because I hate COVID. I'm done with COVID, but it's not going to go away. Phillips, please.
Well, I wrote my piece. It's in today's paper. It's on the website. The vaccinated players on this team came up to the podium this week one by one and said, it's a personal choice. We respect personal choice. I'm not going to bug my teammates about it. And I understand where they're coming from. I appreciate the message of unity. It is time for them to say, get on board. Let's get on board. Let's not have disruptions here.
We're 5 days into training camp, and we've already had two players that are going to play significant roles. The first All-Pro in 25 years.
3 players who are going to play significant roles.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Ioannidis, Samuel, and Sheriff.
Yeah. It's not a thing until it's a thing, and it's kind of getting close to becoming a thing. These guys need to. They're starting to see what's going to happen when you get to season, when you get to game, when you get to where games are. People, if they test positive, are going to start missing, or contact trace, are going to start missing games, and that's when it matters. And hopefully this is eye-opening for them. We talked about it a little bit the other day with Matt Ioannidis when he did it. Hopefully guys are looking around the locker room saying, OS, this is what it might end up being.
Humans are dumb in that we don't care about things until they affect us or the people directly around us. Maybe this will start affecting people. But Ron said, look, some guys are so dug in, and I think they're just not going to budge no matter what. But as we heard him say, they're also having that event tomorrow, so hopefully some guys are transitioning and okay with it now. But I am also done with COVID. Let's talk the football.
All right, let's talk football. Taylor Heineke has not looked good this week.
No, he has
I'm not going to say he's looked bad because he still makes plays. He has that je ne sais quoi.
He
But
hasn't produced the competition.
no, there is no competition.
No.
Tampa
It's-
Taylor has not made his way down to Richmond. I'm calling him Tampa Taylor, by the way. I think that's a
Why?
good nickname.
One person's
That's-
doing that. All right.
Tampa Taylor, that's what he did. Tampa
He
Bay
played
Taylor.
well against Tampa.
That was his peak.
So one person will
that's
have that
the peak
nickname.
of that nickname.
Cool.
Yep.
Tampa Taylor, if he was from Tampa or had played in Tampa or went to
That-
there
no,
a
it's ju-
University of Tampa,
That's just
like,
a version of Taylor. That's Tampa Taylor. I don't know if we've
It'd
seen
be like
him in a while.
Wild Card Taylor or something. Whatever, dude.
Alliteration.
Taylor.
We haven't seen that. Now, some of it for a guy like that just runs around and makes wild things happen is he kind of can't do it here because plays get whistled dead and whatever else. He'll get a chance in the preseason, but he hasn't looked that good. I said at some point to whoever I was sitting with, like, I could see Kyle Allen actually being the backup by the time we get to week 1. So I asked Ron, hey, man, there's so much talk about the starting quarterback competition. What about the backup? And he's like, well, Kyle Allen tweaked his ankle, and that's the same ankle he dislocated and had surgery on last year. So the backup quarterback competition, not not on fire.
You said it earlier in the offseason about Heineke in this offense. It was like being in the Matrix, and that has dissipated quickly. He has been slow to make decisions. He has not been making particularly good throws. Just throwing spirals
late.
out there. It's
We've gone
late.
from The Matrix to every other Keanu Reeves movie.
Hey, Speed was good.
I
but
guess we are in
John Wick is good.
Yeah.
The
There's too many
Replacements.
John
I love
Wicks.
Keanu in the replacements.
We're in Richmond with the speed
Point
buses.
Break.
Let's just
Hang on. I always love to do this. So I brought one of our interns here. So introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
Big fan, family season ticket holders, all that. But I always
All
love
right.
doing this with the interns.
Yes.
How many Keanu Reeves movies have you watched?
None.
Yeah.
Do you know who Keanu Reeves
Caitlin
is?
said none.
Okay.
How do you know who he is so well and haven't watched any of the movies?
Okay, do you want the real answer? Because the real answer is that he was in the 4th Toy Story movie as an animated character.
I didn't hear a word.
Oh my goodness gracious!
The fourth Toy Story movie.
He was in the
apparently
4th
has
Toy
a-
Story movie.
Has a Keanu Reeves pull.
Now I feel old as
Caitlin,
hell.
thank you for joining us.
I can't imagine how old you guys feel.
I feel ancient.
I
Much
will.
like COVID, we're just going to keep it moving.
Well, I will continue to be baffled that Taylor Heineke admitted he has trouble throwing to the left side.
That was not the smartest thing to
But
say.
here he's had
Yeah.
trouble throwing to both sides of the field and down the middle of the field.
He hasn't been bad, though. I want to stress that. I think he's been okay.
Yeah.
But for him to make this a real, for the thing people want to happen to become an actual thing, he has to be great, and he hasn't.
We
Yeah.
have an opening day quarterback. It is settled. It is.
It
in
was
the books.
always settled.
It was always settled. He maybe had the chance to pry the door open and make us talk about it. We are not discussing it.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, and that was
Hello,
backup
Phillips.
quarterback talk.
Good to see you.
I still like him. I still think when the lights come on, he'll be just fine. But he is not the starting quarterback of this
Well,
football team.
when the lights come on, he's going to be holding the clipboard. But if he ever has to be at the center of the lights,
There are
hopefully they do
there
okay.
are 2 players here in the next 3 games during the preseason that are going to be fan favorites, and it's going to be Taylor Heineke and it's going to be
Jared Patterson.
Jared Patterson.
Sam
Those
is
are
too,
the
but
2.
yeah.
Those 2 guys are going to get a lot of work in the
Yeah.
preseason, and will put up some numbers in those games, and it's going to be the Camp Crush, the preseason love of this fan base.
Well said.
I think Patterson's on the practice squad, but I think he's got an outside chance at a roster spot. Another guy I think has a roster spot, if they had to make cuts today, DeAndre Carter. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're running jet sweeps with him on the first team offense,
Yeah.
that play is not designed for him. It's probably designed for Curtis Samuel. He ain't here. He's got COVID, or he's on the COVID list, and he's got this groin injury. And we haven't seen him run since May.
We saw him run a little bit the first day, and he looked okay, but we haven't seen him since. I guess that is the COVID stuff, of course, so that's a stupid point. Phillips, pick me up here.
Okay, well, I've seen J.D. McKissick run some plays that aren't J.D. McKissick plays. I say, like, that's a Curtis Samuel
Right.
play. Same with Carter today. You've seen him run some plays. You say, that's a Curtis Samuel play. But somebody needs to be Curtis Samuel's backup, and I think he's making a very
and when you-
compelling case for that role. He's making himself hard to cut.
He can be, and he's your punt returner and your kick returner. So Ron loves position flex, and for a roster that might get squeezed in certain spots because they're going to carry 3 quarterbacks, that's one dude doing 3 jobs. He can be your 5th active wideout on game day, and he can punt. And so I looked this up. I have a story coming out tomorrow. In his career, he's averaged 9.3 yards per punt return. Last season, it was 8.4 with the Bears and the Texans. For Steven Sims, last year was 6.7 yards per punt return.
And that was when he caught the ball.
If you don't think Nate Katzer knows these numbers, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
You got to be so good as a punt returner to justify a roster spot.
who is that?
It's this other. This is 10 Spot, a Virginia-based band.
That was not what I was expecting to hear. All right. So McLaurin, Humphreys, Brown, Cam Sims. Sam is not on the roster right now, so I'm not counting him right now.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the roster, I think.
Or Pup or whatever.
Right. DeAndre Carter this is so
It's getting louder.
I think there's a chance for Carter to be the 6th wideout, but then be active on game days ahead of somebody because he can return punts and kicks.
Yeah, and he's more proven than Dax Milne because he's played in the NFL for a handful of teams. There's more tape, so various guys like that. What's Adam Humphries, if he ever gets involved in the punt return mix, that can maybe X Carter out. But right now, he's not back there. It's Milne, it's Carter,
And
it's Steven
Ron,
Sims.
did you hear Ron talk about Carter?
Yeah.
I mean, Ron doesn't usually dunk on anybody. This is not dunking season right
Yeah.
now. That's like mid-October when you just lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But Ron
Pretty
was
glowing.
Ron was pretty friendly to DeAndre Carter.
For a random guy who was signed in April, Ron gave him quite a bit of love.
Said he
today.
looks good with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And we're talking a lot about DeAndre Carter and nothing about Steven Sims because we
Steve Sims did catch a little drag, and he kind of hit the Jets. And was able to
know
turn
that
the
he's
corner.
fast.
Yeah.
Like we know that there's some stuff that he does well, but
Even Gandy Golden's had the occasional play here. Like they've all
Harmon,
Harmon's had
too,
play.
yeah.
They've all made play. They're not making it an easy decision.
Yeah.
Yep. I have 3 more guys before I get to my one thing. Is there anything you guys want to address?
I'll
I
just-
want to go straight to JP's guy.
Cole Luke.
Oh, Casey Toohill.
He's on. Cole Luke. A pair of Coles. Cole Luke, Cole Holcomb, and Casey Toohill are my 3 guys to talk about before we get to one thing.
I would just like to say Tamarick Hemingway is having a sterling camp.
Exclamation point.
I don't know why you responded. Like you did nothing.
I
Everything
know.
was cool.
I know. I did what
Are
I
you
hate
mad
most.
I retweeted it?
No, that's funny.
You know what the fatal flaw was? The exclamation.
The exclamation
Yeah.
point's dagger.
Yeah.
I think Hemingway right now is your 3rd tight end.
Yeah. Hey,
He had a big catch today. He's
are
huge.
you putting Bates at 2?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm maybe putting Hemingway at 2 and Bates situationally at 3.
Okay.
They
Bates
liked
is
Hemingway. He
certainly-
just got
I'm
hurt
not
last
here
year.
to go to the map for that. We're not gonna Hemingway versus Reyes.
July
here.
31st.
If
we
you guys
gotta
fight
pace
over that,
ourselves.
then yeah, that's
We gotta pace ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Issues.
But I have Hemingway ahead of Reyes, and I have Bates ahead of Reyes. And we can debate the order of that at a later date. But does that sound right?
A lot of fans love your intensity, dude.
Clearly.
That's so ugly and awful that I said that.
Exclamation point.
For a guy who played basketball and has this great athletic profile, Sammis Reyes just doesn't run very smoothly, and especially when he has to make cuts and stuff. And maybe that's because he's still thinking and is playing a sport he's never played before. But you would think you would see more of just the straight line speed and the fluidity, and I haven't really seen it.
We followed Mo Alley Cox doing this with the Colts because he was a Richmond guy. It took him a whole year.
Okay.
The expectations are 0 this year.
Right.
And you hope next year when he shows up at camp, it all clicks and it's really fun.
Yeah, we talk a lot about him for someone who's not going to have any impact on this year, so I should apologize for bringing him up.
It's also, you said the thinking part. That's what it seems like Heineke's doing all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And he always seems so instinctive and just like he was in the Matrix and saw everything in binary. And now it's like he's watching a standard def TV with antennas from 1987.
Yeah.
Like
Literally
sometimes the
ra-
picture's good.
Fiddling with the rabbit ears, trying to figure out how to get a good picture.
And Montez Sweat and Chase Young are bearing down on him as he does so.
You know when we were like in middle school and you tried to watch the late night movies in the blurry vision on cable?
No.
Sure you don't.
He's got what I remember that. He's got
I didn't ask Pete.
No, he's got one other thing working against him too. The twos on the defensive line are infinitely better than the twos on the offensive line.
Sure.
The twos on the defensive line could go somewhere and maybe start on a lower tier NFL team.
Especially-
the twos on the offensive line are this close to taking math classes at ODU and pursuing their second career.
Well said.
The ones on the defensive line are better than the ones on the offensive line as well.
Yeah, but the ones on the offensive line are NFL caliber football players most days.
Get to your Coles and your Casey.
Cole Luke and Cole Holcomb. I mean, Holcomb's on the team. It's not really a question. He just looks pretty good.
And he made a sick one-handed
The
catch.
sick
today.
one-handed catch was awesome.
Interception. Landon Collins had 2. There's a lot of interceptions today.
And he looks fast.
Cole Luke tipped
Luke
one
generated
that got
one.
intercepted.
Yeah.
We had a spirited discussion on the sideline. Is Cole Luke a safety or a corner? He's listed as a corner on the website. But
I think I see him lining up more at safety.
with all the talk of position flex and all that, I'm not sure they care that much because I think maybe he's a nickel guy for them, whatever it is. He's making himself hard to cut. And just remind yourself that Ron signed him in Carolina.
What, does Ron like people with ties to Carolina or something?
That they signed.
Yeah.
So Hurney was there.
Huh.
It's just something to keep in mind as you start to maybe fill out a roster.
I gotta go get my stuff out of here. Apparently, they're logging up the building. My
Thank you
stuff's
for
in the
coming.
building.
Thank you
It's
for
been
having
a wonderful
us.
guest appearance. I look forward to being on your home turf next week.
All right, we'll see you
Always a
next week.
pleasure.
Thank
Phillips,
you,
you
Philly.
rule. Big fan of Michael
You want to hit
Phillips.
us with a one thing real quick? Any one thing that stood out to you?
Yeah, I was really impressed by how the offense won a lot of drills and a lot of the practices. Traditionally, this first week, especially with this roster, is a week for the defense, and the defense won the week, obviously. But there were moments for that first-team offense. There is talent there.
And the offense looked far behind on the first day.
Yes.
So
Rapid improvement.
Yeah.
They picked it up.
I have no idea what this podcast is going to sound like. I hope the listeners can't hear any of this.
Goodness.
But if they do, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's not
dude.
in our control. We're in a tent with very thin
My idea was
walls.
to close the tent.
Yeah,
and,
that was stupid, but maybe it would have been worth it because this is dreadful. So I guess we're in one thing. Mitch, you got a one thing?
Is this? It's all right. Time check for timestamp guy. It's Saturday at 1:17 p.m. Is this band gonna play till 3 o'clock?
I would be shocked if they have 3 hours worth of songs in their catalog.
I mean, they're just playing covers. Whatever. What's your one thing, Mitchell?
Well, did you get to your Casey Tuhill?
With everything going on in the background, Casey Tuhill had a good day.
He had an interception and has taken the
He's
lead.
athletic, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So James Smith-Williams is very, very clearly
Ron calls
the
him
number
James
3.
Williams Smith.
I noticed that was
Made
a
me
little
laugh.
Gruden-ish.
Yep.
James Smith-Williams, clearly the number 3 D end.
Clearly.
There's a fight for 4. I think they could probably get Tony and King to the practice squad if they want. I don't think you can with Tuhill. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess my one thing was going to be Casey Tuhill then, since we didn't really get to it that much. He had the interception that you mentioned. The play directly before that, he beat Samus Reyes inside on a run play, blew it up in the backfield. When these guys are out here in the shells, they don't do full tackling. They just kind of wrap up. They play to the thud more or less. And then usually the running backs kind of keep running and go to the end zone regardless. But he blew it up, kind of picked up whoever the running back was.
Mitch looked at his phone, the rest of this dirty table, and just said, whoever the running back was.
Peyton Barber, thank you. And just blew up the play. My brain for clicking in and
Steel
working.
trap.
There's a lot of stuff
This is a
going on
fun
out
pod.
here right
This is
now.
and there's a lot of stuff going on last night as well.
So yeah, Casey Tuhill, good day. Think he's lined up for potentially being that 4th DN on this roster.
I understand Landon needs to perform when the pads are on. Safeties are one of the harder spots to evaluate in training camp, and tackling has been a weird issue for him, for someone who's supposed to be a box safety. But so far, I'll say if this Landon shows up in September, fans are going to be happy, and he's going to start getting some people back on his side. He looks really damn good. He says he feels better than before the Achilles injury, which I don't know how that's possible, but he said it, and he's starting to prove it. He's flying around for sure. That's my one thing.
I agree, and I feel like Collins, I hope it works well. Like, he's a good dude.
Definitely
he
a
worked
good dude.
super hard. He was pretty good in 19. Last year went bad. We played the interview, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
yes,
liked
sir.
how he owned. He's like, yeah, man, it just wasn't there last year.
It was cool today. He had the interception off of Fitz, and then turned and started. The two of them were jawing back and forth at each other.
Well, and the
It's kind of fun.
And the defense was so excited for him, too. You know what I mean? Like, I think they recognize how hard he's worked. One thing for me, I brought it up the other day that Charles Leno looked a little
Smallish?
small. So I've been making a point of watching him. He's quick, dude. Like, going against Montez Sweat, like, they're getting good work. And they're abusing Cosme on the other side, and maybe that'll be okay, right? But, I don't know. Leno is a pro. You can tell, like, he knows the footwork. He knows what he's doing. And, I mean, Montez Sweat, he's probably 6 inches taller than him. I mean, the length of Sweat is outrageous. And Leno just plays the leverage and uses it against him and just, like, lets him get wide with his speed and just pushes him on past. And that speed will just create the pocket for Fitz to step up into. So, yeah, it was an impressive day. And, like, you can always tell during, like, DN tackle stuff when they're cool with the DN. When the DN knows it's good, when they, like, give him a little helmet pad.
There's a lot of helmet pads.
It was like, all right,
so.
good rep.
Yeah.
Like, that's good.
Yeah.
Only thing I'll mention just on Cosme, because I think we've been pretty real about his struggles over there.
Dude, the
He had a
struggles
better-
are expected.
He had a better day today, and there was one, I guess maybe the probably the most excited fan play of the day today was Fitzpatrick kind of broke out and ran for a 15-yard touchdown, but probably would have been a sack in real life, coming from Montez coming around the left side. On that play, Cosme was on the right and washed Chase Young all the way down across the line and created the hole that Fitzpatrick ultimately ended up running through. It's not that he's getting beat like a drum on every play, but there's certainly more bad plays than good out of him right now.
That's fair. We got to give him his shine when he earns it. He's going to get
No
there.
interview today, but more coming next week
I
when we
was
get
just
back
talking,
to.
and JP just
I thought you were done.
It's
I
fine.
can't hear you over this band.
I'm ready to be done.
I legit can't hear you.
It's okay. I'm ready to be done.
Pete and I are 4 feet away. I can barely hear him. I don't know what this pod's going to sound like, and I'm sorry if it's bad. I want to read something real
If you
quick.
made it this far, we're sorry. And
Tanya Snyder spoke for the first time today in a long time.
First time she spoke
As
the
co-CEO.
Co-CEO.
And she only spoke to fans, not to media. It was very nice, polite. Thanked the fans so much. Said, we're in a new era with Ron Rivera. What part I want to read? Thank you so much for being here today. I've been on the sidelines for 22 years, and I'm much more active and involved now with my husband. We couldn't be more excited about our new leadership that are wonderful. They're so strong outside of football and the best in their class of everything they've done. So you're going to see a lot of great growth and listening to all of our fans, and we want to see you at the stadium. Thank you again for coming today, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday. Everybody keep in mind, next Friday night, FedEx Field, free practice. Be there if you want. Be fun.
Jason Wright talked about that Friday night thing. They're using it as a dry run for what the season's
They're
going to
doing
look like.
fireworks and everything.
So yeah, they want everyone there.
Abs, last pod from Richmond. You want to get on this time? Again.
For the record, when we first did our intro today, and we were
Yeah, Abs
introducing
wouldn't stop talking.
Abs was right behind there and did the wave like we were going to talk to him. And then when you didn't mention our weird best friend Abs, he kind of looked a little pouty.
Best weird friend.
What'd I say?
Weird best friend.
Potato.
They're synonymous. Time to go. Thank you to Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. We ride with them. Want you to do the same thing. Thank you to Richmond. We love it down here. I always love coming down here. It's always fun. Great people, great restaurants.
It's very useful to be in person, seeing things,
Oh,
traveling. You see things you can't see from home. So I
Totally.
really enjoyed being here and being in person and traveling here.
Totally. You realize what you don't have when you miss it for a year.
Yeah.
Time to go. We always finish things in Richmond by saying,
Let's get the out of Richmond.
it doesn't mean we don't love
Yeah.
Richmond. We love it. It's from Hard Knocks 5 years ago with the Texans. It's
Look it up
funny.
on YouTube.
Just laugh. Don't be offended at everything.
Yes.